Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and one thing that I talk about a lot is when I finally make my XRP exit on maybe a shallow bag or something like that, or if I decide to just borrow against my XRP when the market's more mature, I'll be going out and buying, well, if I borrow against it, I'm probably going to go out and buy income producing hard assets like real estate. But if I sell any of it, I'm going to be going into paid for land, paid for things like gold. Well, one thing that we don't talk about a lot, but on iTrustCapital, they have, you can buy gold and silver in your IRA or in your premium custody account. And I wanted to show you what they do, if I can find where I was here. Let me see here. Buying gold in an IRA, I think it's this one. If you go down here, well, I thought they had a section on it right here, but anyway, I don't have to read it to you. I know when you buy gold in iTrustCapital, they actually it's actually gold that's in the Royal Canadian Mint vault. So if you buy $100,000 worth of gold, that gold is actually in the vault. You're not buying an ETF. You're not buying paper gold. You're actually buying the actual gold. So this is going to be one option that I like in my IRA. If I decided to sell XRP, $100,000 worth of XRP, I could literally turn around, buy gold with it, tax-free, folks, tax-free. Roth IRA. Roth IRA is the secret weapon. I mean, for your crypto, if you don't have a Roth IRA, definitely look into it, folks. I think last time I checked, you could contribute, it was either $6,000 or $7,000 a year. That is after-tax money, and for that reason, once it's in there, you don't pay taxes on it when it comes out, when you're like, what, 59 and a half or something like that. If you want to go open an iTrustCapital, they are my partner. Go open an account, iTrustCapital.com/XRP Army. Everybody, in my opinion, should have a Roth IRA. Okay, we've got XRP back up to 286. Today is going to be a very interesting day. We've got a lot of people floating that Trump's about to come out with a major announcement. The president claims he'll deliver a major speech. That's today. Have anything to do with there's a lot of talk it might have to do with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. There's also this. Think New World Order. Think Bretton Woods 3.0, folks.
Tomorrow morning, President Trump will deliver a major speech touting the renewal of American strength around the world, his historic accomplishments in just 8 months, including the ending of 7 global wars and conflicts. The president will also touch upon how globalist institutions have significantly decayed the world order, and he will articulate his straightforward and constructive vision for the world.
Make no mistake, crypto was literally created for this moment. We were telling you this 5 to 7 years ago when everybody else was talking about cartoon monkeys and ICOs and green candles and bullcrap that doesn't mean anything. This has always been about geopolitics. Crypto has always been about geopolitics. Here's another interesting clip from Paul Barron around this.
The U.S. is working on this right now, and I would tend to agree that that's probably, it's at least an idea that's being floated as, hey, how do we get rid of $35 trillion in U.S. denominated debt and move it on to something else? And frankly, using a tokenized real world asset and making gold money again, gold could be made money as easily as a CBDC could. Right. So if
you look at Pax Gold or XAUT, any one of those could be directly to that's tokenized. But again, you're talking,
or maybe XAU on the XRP ledger
about Tether, that's a different thing. Versus
That's a weirder trust model. What I think will happen is if you can get the really old people involved, if you can get like Lloyd's and the real ones, but really get like Brinks and StoneX and some of these companies that, hey, we've been around for 700 years and never had a stolen
tokenized gold.
Precisely. Yeah. That allows them to say, look, we get constant audits and attestations. You know how much gold is here. And then it allows you to essentially transact in a sub-cent of gold because you can tokenize down to whatever you need it to be, which actually is bad news for silver, by the way. Because if everybody's going to use gold and you can knock it down to, I can transact in a penny worth of gold, then what's the point of silver? But it allows you...
That goes back to utility for silver. I don't see it as a monetary system. I think it's, you look at the defense system that's being used, AI, the chip architect, all that's silver. And it's all being lost, because it's going to the landfills once the price goes away. So
it's crazy.
That's a problem. But okay, so wow, this is a fascinating conversation because we're
okay. You get the point. Now, look at this. Now remember, Mark Carney is the Canadian. Is he the Canadian Prime Minister now? He's also, he may not be now, but he was on the board of Stripe. Remember, Stripe owns 2% of the XLM supply. This guy, we've been following this guy for a long time when he went to Jackson Hole and all kinds of things. Listen to what he's saying.
Sustainability. The third reason why I'm going to argue we can thrive in this time is we recognize what's going on. This is not a transition, this is a rupture. This is a sharp change in a short period of time, driven by a variety of factors.
And here he says this.
Need to be thinking about the structure of the underlying system. And then the third thing, which is much more speculative and longer term, but when you change when you move from one reserve currency to another, look, it's a multipolar world. It would be better to have a multipolar system, is the bottom line. Multipolar systems are not sustainable in general in markets, but they are, the nature of payments is such that you can, for certain blocks of the economy, create a multipolar payment system. It's a topic for a whole other discussion. It's hard to get it into a soundbite, but it's that kind of thinking that we need to be doing as the central banks and authorities, in my view.
All right. Does anybody remember this? Speaking of Canada.
And in fact, the Bank of Canada is working on projects to build the capability for that central bank digital currency. So although they're not going to issue that currency as yet, when the need arises to issue it, they want to be ready. So we're working closely with them on that specifically. And we're looking at providers like Ripple and how you offer it versus different providers, and really just to get best practices and what's going to work for Canada, what's going to work, from a global perspective, interoperable perspective. So it's something that underpins, I would say it's an undercurrent to our current more active modernization projects.
Okay, and then you got this. Ripple unveils next phase of institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger with 1 billion stablecoin volume, live compliance tools, and upcoming native lending protocol. Folks, you're about to see, they're going to back the truck up on the XRP ledger financial products, and you and I get to participate. These guys are starting to figure it out.
Chainlink could be a big winner of that.
So that's Chainlink. So the next coin on our list, another OG from the previous two cycles, is XRP. So in terms of things to look for, what's happened over the past few weeks in terms of XRP, one is ETFs just launched over, I think, last week or something. So it's picking up, and that's good to see.
Yeah. We've also got all the stuff that Ripple has been up to recently. They've been doing a lot of mergers. They've been doing a lot of partnerships, acquisitions. Hidden Road, the prime broker.
Prime broker, exactly. Massive prime broker. And all of the integrations with RLUSD, it's Ripple stablecoin. And also this news just broke today or the day before. It's from Eleanor, who's a reporter over there, Eleanor Terrett. There's now new liquid staking, which lets XRP holders earn up to 8%.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there'll be a lot of XRP whales out there looking to get some yield on that after all this time. And of course, Ripple itself, now that the shackles are off following the final ending of that SEC trial that went on for years and years. So yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Looking good, yeah.
Mind you,
we don't need to watch any more of that. I got too much to cover. Look at this. Tokenization could take over Wall Street.
Technology on which crypto is based. Industry insiders I have spoken with have said that eventually you will see the entire financial market run on blockchain. You started to see this with stable coins, and then now we're starting to see it with equities. We've heard of the announcements of Robinhood introducing 200 US tokenized stocks in the EU. Gemini also offering tokenized stocks in the EU. Those are more derivative products that are not available in the US. But you've had the NASDAQ that has asked the SEC for permission to be able to offer tokenized shares, tokenized securities on the NASDAQ. And that's because of this wave of the entire financial infrastructure, which is expected to upgrade to blockchain. And they don't want to lose ground to platforms like Coinbase, like Kraken, like Gemini. This is a big market, just to show you what once...
You're darn right it is. Here's Matt Hogan.
I think that number is going up. Some of these companies are those so-called DATs, digital asset treasuries, that just buy Bitcoin for their balance sheet. Mackenzie is right that momentum is somewhat fading. But on the other side of the balance sheet, you have a broader set of companies that, just like individuals, want to have 5 or 10% Bitcoin. Companies like Figma, companies like Block. I still think that corporate number is going to double over the next year or so. The amount of Bitcoin on the balance sheets are going to go up. And I think there's an even bigger story in ETFs, where the flows, from my perspective, are set to accelerate strongly into Q4. So I am still feeling bullish about this market. I take this pullback as an opportunity and not a setback as we move into Q4.
I do too. Look at this, Stuart Alderati. Look who he's going to be with at FMQ later this week. Global head of market development for BlackRock. Go figure. Chief legal compliance, corporate affairs for Robinhood. President CoinDesk. Deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund. Ripple always has kept good company, haven't they? And then U.S. lawmakers are urging SEC to implement Trump's executive order allowing Americans to invest 401k retirement savings into Bitcoin and crypto. How about XRP and crypto? Americans hold over $9 trillion in 401k savings. And then we got this. You're looking... This is Mike Novogratz. These guys, folks, these guys know exactly what the XRP ledger is. They know exactly what it's doing and what it's going to do. This is the VC token pump gang, folks. Make no mistake.
It took Michael 4 years, more maybe 4 years. And what was interesting about MicroStrategy, it became its own community. Like, these work if they become communities. You think about what the core value prop in crypto so far has not been utility. It's been community, right? You're part of the XRP army. A lot of people don't use the XRP blockchain, but they really like the coin. Right? What does it mean, like the coin? Mean they trust the community to hold their value. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And Michael Saylor created community around MicroStrategy, which was different than Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. People are MicroStrategy guys. They like it. It outperformed. And so the job is community. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what creates the value.
That guy is so full of crap. Let me remind you who everybody is. That's Anthony Pompliano, who said that if you think Bitcoin went on a tear in 2017, he said, if you think Bitcoin went on a tear, wait till you see XRP. And then somebody got to him, and ever since then he pretends like he doesn't understand XRP. That's, of course, Mike Novogratz, who used to go on TV and say he understood Ripple. He just didn't understand XRP, and he's shorting it. And that is Kyle Samani from Multicoin Capital, ETHgate fame. You'll remember the video that I put out back then. Kyle Samani and his partner, Tushar Jain, they were the two guys that went on television and bragged about how they were shorting XRP because they thought that the SEC might call it a security. And they just, by pure coincidence, their limited partners were Andreessen Horowitz and Union Square Ventures, who were in the room with Bill Hinman for to make sure that Ethereum got a free pass. And remember, also, Mike Novogratz is the one that bet dimes to donuts. I just think, like 8 days before the Bill Hinman speech, he bets dimes to donuts that Ethereum's probably SEC's probably going to say it was a security, but now it's not. It's decentralized now. This is what I call the VC token pump gang. In other words, I would bet you dimes to, here's one of dimes to donuts. I'll bet you dimes to donuts that if the Ripple founders had given all of these guys XRP allotments from early on, they would have spent the last decade talking up XRP the way they do Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. There's something I bet dimes to donuts on, because I know how this game works. I've watched this for over a decade, folks. You hadn't seen the real market yet, folks. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these videos, or you can hit subscribe on X. Today, Brad Garlinghouse got married. And just by the way, if I was Brad Garlinghouse and I was going to plan on getting married, you know, after all Brad Garlinghouse has been through with Ripple and XRP and the whole saga, I would time my wedding, this is just me, I would time my wedding for when I knew that this switch was finally going to be flipped. Because what better way to get married and then go off into the sunset than it being time? I'm the digital asset. I'm going to show you some pictures you've seen. I'm going to show you some video that you probably haven't seen. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family, away we go.